3, 2, 1.
Seamless.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I know the audience never hears it, but we never do get proper credit for how good our claps are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait till
That's something that we do consistently well.
Everything else is a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But the clapping, oh.
Just wait until you visit Moose. If we like record an episode when you're here and you get to experience the clap in person.
Whoa.
It's like, yeah. It's like
I can only imagine.
That's like half the reason I like doing the in-person episodes.
You're in hallowed chambers.
So, Al Pacino, legendary actor,
Yes.
but more importantly in this scenario, octogenarian. It's just his 29-year-old girlfriend is pregnant.
I saw that.
And he made her get a paternity test because he didn't know if he could have kids anymore.
Whoa.
But he can. It's his. So
Whoa.
I guess that's
Okay, here's something
Way to
crazy.
go, Al.
So she's 29 now, but in 2018 she dated Mick Jagger.
Ooh, okay.
She was later spotted with Clint Eastwood in 2019. Clint Eastwood is 93.
Holy shit.
But she said that there was no relationship between her and Clint.
Oh, okay.
That's insane.
I didn't look that much into her. Damn.
I just Googled Al Pacino and there's some like E! News article.
Dang.
I mean, it's like...
Honestly, way to go. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, she finally found a younger guy, I guess.
Yeah, that was her problem with Clint Eastwood, is that, he's a little too old.
Yeah.
So I'll go for this 83-year-old.
He's literally
and,
he was drying up her pussy by coming dust into her.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Scarface joke in there. Tony Montana with the coke all over his face.
Oh, man.
I mean, Bobby Dinnerplate, Bob De Niro, 79, also expecting another kid or just had a kid.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I don't. What's the point? I mean,
I
I
don't
guess.
What's the point in having a kid at that age?
Well, it's like, I mean, in a sense, it's like, it's irresponsible because, like, what are the chances that an 83-year-old is going to, like, live until this kid's, like, an adult,
By the time your kid is, like, old enough to even play baseball with, like, hey, Dad, let's go have a catch. The kid will be able to, if the kid hits you with the baseball, it'll, it'll destroy your chest cavity. It'll cave it in. Like, you will go down for the count.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you were, like, one of the central players in The Irishman, you're, like, not allowed to have kids anymore. if you're in a movie that's all about, like, being old and, like, dying and stuff, then you're kind of done. I mean, at least you would expect or hope that, the kid's going to be, his dad's Al Pacino, so he'll probably have, he'll be taken care of in that sense, but it's still like he's not going to really have a dad. And
Yeah. Bummer.
Maybe it's because she had a great ass.
That was actually what made me think about bringing this into the show,
setting that trap for one of us to fall into.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Very nice. Congrats to the lovely couple. They're not even married either, which I don't know. Do you think you would have, I guess, locked that down at first? Because she's not like
maybe
she's not really guaranteed. I mean, I guess
unless he, but he didn't think he could have kids anymore, so he just like
He's like, oh, look at that. Well, imagine
I can
that.
fuck around with, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need condoms.
Yeah. Now that also, it's this big thing, like, what if they got an abortion?
Now that
you got age gap discourse, you got abortion discourse.
Yeah. Yeah, they're literally like, that's the age difference between me and my grandma. So, that's...
Wow.
Yeah. People say, like, oh, he could be her grandpa, but, like, yeah, like, literally. Like, yeah. It's fucked.
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I mean,
because
I've never slept with an old person.
Mm-hmm.
But I can imagine that it wouldn't be that bad of an experience as long as you're gentle.
Yeah, yeah, I'm following you so far.
You got that wisdom and experience going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
this
not
is actually
age kind of
this
stuff.
is actually a perfect topic to lead into the movie. Now that I think about it, this is a perfect topic for this.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to There'll Be Duds. This is episode 102. And I am your co-host, TJ, a.k.a. J-Spot Jack Cheese. And with me, as always,
I am Nick, a.k.a. Dr. Funk on Twitch. And with me, as always,
here I am. It's me, Moose, a.k.a. Tommy.
And as always, we watched a movie. That movie being Bubba Ho-Tep from 2002, directed by Don Coscarelli. It follows an aging, a senior Elvis Presley who did not die in the 70s, but is living in a nursing home in Texas, as he finds out that there's this ancient mummy that is terrorizing the rest home and killing the other patients. And he teams up with an elderly JFK who also did not die, but is living and surviving and thriving in Texas as well. And yeah, it's that's it. That's the movie. There's not much nuance to it, I guess.
No, that's not much nuance is a good way to describe this movie.
Although I guess I'll get things started here. I watched because I have this on DVD, so I watched some of the like behind the scenes stuff afterwards. And
Great.
The director, and he seemed genuine. I was trying to tell if he was like being a little cheeky or whatever, but he says that he considers this like primarily, like, he's like, yeah, it's a horror, you know, it's got like all these different things in it, but he says that it's primarily a drama.
A drama.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I think there are dramatic moments, and I think for me the movie is kind of split. I think the first half is way stronger than the second half. The second half for me, I feel like is just kind of it's a monster movie. But I think
what's the halfway point for you?
I feel like the halfway point is kind of when they decide that they're going to confront the Ho-Tep and try to take it out. But I think the earlier stuff, and I think this is probably where more of the drama interpretation comes in. I feel like it's a lot of stuff about being young and being old and aging and that generational disconnect. I think all of the monologue stuff with Elvis is the funniest part of the whole movie. But also, you know, I rewatched the scene where he calls him his roommate, which makes me laugh. Like the guy at the beginning that dies, and like his like daughter who looks like Cerie from 30 Rock, just like the hot young intern that they have there, constantly wearing like skimpy outfits. and she comes in, and like basically he's just throwing all of his shit away, and he like asks if he could have like some of his stuff out of the trash. Like he's got a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Like it's just all of this entire life of a person, and just someone casually just kind of tosses it in the garbage, like thinking, it's like, yeah, here's Dad's junk, whatever, get rid of it. But I did get a pretty hearty laugh out of like, she bends over and he just stares longingly at her underwear under the skirt, and he says my pecker fluttered like a pigeon having a heart attack. It's very crassly poetic in that way.
That's a good way. I like that way to put it. Yeah, crassly like poetic is good.
It's like, yeah, Southern Gothic meets like Monty Python, or something like that. Just like,
yeah,
kind of like Blood Meridian, where like from what I've been reading, it's like very beautiful descriptions of like land and like nature and animals and just like the whole setting, and then some character will just be like, well, I'll be slicker and shit, and you're like, oh, here's this asshole.
Yeah,
this is like a world full of morons in this beautiful landscape.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of that is like the earlier part, I would say, is like the more dramatic stuff where it's Bruce, I keep calling him Bruce, Elvis, like reminiscing on his life and being in a nursing home. And I would I'm 32, but it's just like, man, in like 30 years, 40 years, is that gonna be me?
Yeah.
I'm probably not gonna have kids, so it's like no one's gonna put me in the nursing home
until you're that age. And then you'll start having kids. Yeah.
Like my hero Al Pacino.
I always kind of figured I would die young or something.
Yeah.
I guess I just can't visualize myself being that old.
Oh yeah, I feel that for sure. Yeah.
I can't either. I mean, I think about stuff that I do now, but like doing it at that age, like something like playing Zelda. Playing video games. I'm just like, the idea, like someone like a 70-year-old doing that.
I mean, it's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, I know.
There's this streamer on Twitch, Wow Grandma 78.
Nice. All right.
And she's just this grandma that plays World of Warcraft every day for hours, and has this massive following. And she's good at it too, apparently.
Yeah, there are definitely like streamers. Every once in a while I feel like I'll see like a piece about like the 70-year-old streamer who's kicking ass at like Call of Duty or something like that.
No, that's
wild.
Me.
That's you, yeah. Yeah. Were you wearing the same age makeup that Bruce Campbell was wearing in this?
Yeah.
I forget, Bruce Campbell was like, well, Bruce Campbell's like my dad's age.
Yeah, he was born in 58, I think.
Yeah. So
he's
2002, he would have been
44.
I think. Yeah, early 40s.
That's crazy. That's crazy. He looks so old.
Yeah.
I thought, like, I was surprised. I think, like, I guess seeing past the makeup, like, he seems so much younger. Then I'm like, God, that was only like 20 years ago. He looks so much younger. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely get what you mean. And that's where my head went, obviously, with the drama stuff. But I still don't know if I would like try to, bill it firsthand as a drama. No. Is kind of what I mean. But it has those elements, sure.
This clicks for me as a drama.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, here's a take.
You'd say first and foremost a drama.
Oh yeah, big time. Here's why.
Okay. Ooh, all right.
Because it was boring. Like a drama.
Okay.
This movie was slow, just like the old people that were depicted in it.
Okay.
Very nice.
It's very dramatic in that way. That I was just kind of like, oh, I'm still watching the movie.
Wait, it's very. I think you should say it's very drama-like, because dramatic is like the opposite of boring. The adjective dramatic is. It's very drama-like. The genre.
Yeah, drama-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have seen this before, but it's been a long time.
Same.
So I other than like as soon as I heard the first opening lines, I remember that immediately because what a striking opening sentence this movie has.
I was dreaming my dick was out, and I was checking to see if that infected bump on the head of it had filled with pus again. If it had, I was going to name that bump after my ex-wife, Scylla, and bust it by jacking off.
It's just like, whoa. Mm-hmm. And the short story that this is based on is like the Bram Stoker award-winning like short story. Like apparently it's got a lot of accolades. I feel like a lot of it probably translates maybe better to paper. Maybe it's better as a short story than a 90-minute movie. Because I will say, I think near the last half of this movie was the most boring for me, just because like
that's
them. Are you the opposite?
Finish your thought, but yeah, I'm the opposite. Yeah,
I am too.
Just because it was like, I don't know. That's where I was just like kind of checking out. Like I thought the monster. The one scene of the Bubba Ho-Tep coming down the hallway, like where you just see him standing
and, like
at the very end,
spinning behind him and stuff.
That was really cool. There was some really cool stuff that they did.
Yeah.
But I guess I just wasn't super engaged during the final like confrontation with the monster.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I wasn't like on the edge of my seat or anything. But it's like, and I don't know if. Halfway or like maybe it was the first third. I don't know if the demarcation point is the exact same, but it's like the first act, the first chunk of this movie, he's just fucking in his bed. He's in his bed, and he's monologuing, and like it starts, and you're like, okay, yeah, these are funny. Like I agree. Like I like his dialogue. I like how colorful and but then it's just like it just repeats. It does it a lot, and then it's like when it kind of shifts for me when it starts getting more interesting or more engaging is when he starts like talking and teaming up with JFK.
I would say I agree with you there. The like Ossie Davis as JFK was like a good, I guess, restart almost, where it's like you just start to get a little bit bored of Bruce laying in bed, and then Ossie Davis comes in, and I'm thinking with sand. They filled the back of my head with sand after Lyndon Johnson shot me and then painted me black.
Yeah.
I got a little bag of sand up there now.
Jack, no offense, but President Kennedy was a white man.
That's how clever they are. They dyed me this color, all over. Can you think of a better way to hide the truth than that?
Yeah, I like his he's my favorite character for sure is JFK, and I like it's better for Elvis to have somebody to like bounce off of, somebody who's maybe even like crazier than he is.
And that is funny.
Someone
that,
who
like,
just happens to know everything that he needed to know about the Egyptian hieroglyphics and words of power and how to fight a mummy and all that shit.
It is work. It is funny that to like have that perspective of like he's like an Elvis impersonator that switched places with Elvis, but there's no proof. Him being skeptical of another person's like claimed identity when he has like the most skeptical identity of all time.
Yeah.
What
do you think? So,
I think we're gonna ask the same thing.
Do you think he was really Elvis?
I like to think that he was really Elvis. I think he was. Really
I think it's more it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think he was Elvis. I think he's a guy who thinks he's Elvis.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Because otherwise, why would you have Elvis in this story? It's a story about an old person fighting a mummy.
I think it adds an element of silliness and wackiness. Yeah. I think this is like the most 2002 thing. Like that just seems very like of its time of just like, what if like you got to have some sort of element in there that catches your eye. And when you read the back of the book and it says Elvis, who actually isn't dead and is like switched places with an impersonator in a resting home, teams up with JFK, who was also not dead. That's the hook to get you into being like, this is the premise of this is weird already, and then they turn it into like a monster movie.
In my opinion, Mummy is enough of a hook. You know,
Mummy versus old guy or whatever.
Like Mummy versus old guy in East Texas. I think that's a funny concept for a movie.
That is true. You are our resident Texan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it probably was a thing, like maybe that is enough for some people, but then it's like it's wackier if it is Elvis, you know, over an old person.
Yeah,
you know.
That is wacky, because that's a good point, because like out of all the people who think that they're other people and nobody believes them, surely one of them has to be like right. And who's to say it's not this guy?
Yeah.
Tupac, Biggie, someone's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing, God, all over like Twitter, people have been using AI to like, here's what Jimi Hendrix would look like now. But they've been doing it with all, like, I've seen it with like Tupac, all these dead celebrities. And it's like, oh, maybe this will be what it takes to finally bring one of them in. One of those guys laying on the lamb who's faked their own death.
See, that looks like me.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that in this movie, Bruce Campbell still can't get away from movies about books of the dead.
Yeah. It does feel very like not even just in that sense, but kind of like Evil Dead.
And there was like, there's like a YouTube video that's like, it's like 11 minutes or so, but it's Bruce Campbell kind of talking about the movie and you know, the history of it, how it came to be. And apparently like Don Coscarelli, I think, I'm paraphrasing here, I think he originally like pitched it to Sam Raimi or told him about it. And Sam Raimi was like, oh yeah, get Bruce Campbell, he'll do it. Just
whoa.
Like Sam Raimi knowing Bruce well enough to like know exactly what kind of movie he'd be into, but also I feel like in this movie there's enough like physicality with Bruce as Elvis, where it's like it's totally in line with all those scenes in like The Evil Dead when there's just like a stray tree branch that hits him in the face, or just torturing Bruce Campbell even as decrepit old Elvis. Can't get away from it.
Yeah.
Bruce called it grumpy old Ghostbusters in that. It was pretty funny.
I like that I like that he does the voice and he does the whole thing. He's he's like, I'm Elvis, I'm doing, you know, this is the Elvis voice and everything. And then Ossie Davis just doesn't. He doesn't even attempt to do like the Boston. He's just Ossie Davis. And I think that like that's another thing that like contrasting with the more like I guess accurate take on Elvis. It makes the JFK character funny.
Yeah, you can't have them both be like doing impressions.
Yeah.
And again, apparently Bruce that had a one-on-one Elvis impersonator come in to try and like train him to like help him get like the mannerisms and the voice down.
Nice.
And apparently after 20 minutes, the Elvis impersonator was just like, you know what, man? You're never going to get it. And like left. Like gave up on him in 20 minutes.
Wow. I love that you did the voice.
Oh, yeah. It's hard not to. I feel like Bruce just has that like kind of that jawline and that forehead to like just pull it off.
Yeah.
Definitely. And like that's half of it, is just having the physicality.
Yeah.
Tie in to a different episode. The ex-girlfriend of Ed Wood,
Sarah
Dorothy?
Jessica Parker?
Yeah.
Or Dolores, the actual one.
Dolores, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wrote a song for Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because they had that at the end of the thing.
So this movie is connected to that movie in that way.
Oh,
It's a small world.
now we need like an Ed Wood in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Faking his Ed Wood and like I'm trying to think like Howard Hughes living in a nursing home after faking his death and like
Howard Hughes would
He
be
just
good because some people think that he did fake his death. So
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
one of those. Yeah, not like it's different. I'm just mean it's different from these guys because like I don't think anybody thinks like JFK faked his death or something like that.
Or Carol Baskin's husband.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The one that got eaten by the tigers, maybe.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Right. Yeah, I wish I mean, this is clearly a very low budget movie, but it would have been cool if they could have licensed some like Elvis songs for it. I think it would have like added a lot of fun to it.
Yeah, I did notice that in one of the flashbacks that I was just like, "Oh, this is just generic
Twangy
rock and roll music."
I wanted him
did
to quote,
notice.
I wanted him to quote like Suspicious Minds at some point and be like, "I'm caught in a trap." Oh yeah, I was gonna say another connection to another movie, although this is a bit more easy because it's the same director. But this was fun since I'd never seen this after seeing Phantasm. But one of the like male orderly that worked at the nursing home is Reggie. He's one of the main characters from Phantasm.
Huh.
Yeah, I saw that a few of them were in there.
A couple other people from it.
Yeah, I think at least, but I think some of them might have been from like
The sequels.
later Phantasms.
Okay.
Reggie was like he was like the weird, kind of looked like Rich Evans kind of guy.
Kinda. And it's funny in this, I kept thinking he was Angus Scrimm, but I'm like, no, but like he'd be way older at this point. But like he since he's older in this, and he has like a bit grayer hair, he looks kind of like Angus Scrimm in Phantasm.
For some reason, I thought that Angus Scrimm was in this movie.
Oh.
I thought I saw that somewhere. Like he was like a, uncredited, cameo, but apparently he wasn't, which is weird because I feel like Don Coscarelli tries to like put all of his guys in as many of his movies as possible. Or at least he works with the same crew for a lot of them.
Yeah. It feels like that with how, kind of independent he's been his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of like really low budget dudes kind of like they do tend to like stick with their crew.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll say watching this now that's probably the most appreciation I like had for the movie was like I always like it's partly why I love the old Sam Raimi stuff, the old Evil Dead stuff, or the other guys that they used to make movies with, like Josh Becker and stuff. Like, I like scrappy productions, where, like, in this you can see there's like parts where you can see like the old age makeup on Bruce is kind of like flaking, or the Bubba Ho-Tep costume is like it's good for what it is, but it's also like a very cheap like dude in a suit, and like it's kind of what I mean, like all the effects, like you really see the low budget in it, but it's like when it's coming from a guy that does like self-finance and he's been at this for decades, like he's kind of doing what he loves, so I it's a little bit of like wholesome kind of and same thing with Bruce Campbell. He'd always been like scrapping, like his entire career, just kind of scrapping, like getting jobs where he could, and always really like, I don't know. It seems like he's like a really like good dude to work with, and like really supports indie filmmaking too. And
that's cool.
Yeah. No, exactly. In that little video that I watched of Bruce, he was talking pretty highly about Don, and he knows that he's someone who cares about the craft and isn't. There's one part where he's talking about like he's like, a lot of TV directors or like, other directors will be like, they'll finish a scene, they'll be like, cut, and then they'll look at their watch and be like, that was great. And it's just like their whole idea is just like, yep, let's keep it. I got the Ed Wood style of just like, yep, nailed it, great cut, let's go, let's keep going. And Don Coscarelli is just one of those guys who is visionary makes it seem like he's way more profound and deep than he is, but he's like an auteur.
If
he's
or an auteur,
he has his style. He has his style. He knows what he likes. He knows how to get what he likes, and he's one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
He makes cult movies. Like that's like his whole deal is just like that's the kind of movie that he makes. And Bruce Campbell is always so interesting to me because I feel like he's got all of the features of like a handsome leading man, at least in his prime, and he always gets relegated to roles where he is
side
just
parts and
he's the heel or he's just getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And like the reluctant hero, but it's always in B movies. Like I feel like he never really had a big like breakout role. I mean,
I don't think so.
Not even Burn Notice. He's like a side character on Burn Notice.
Yeah.
That's where I recognize him from.
Oh yeah,
I've seen like a season of that.
Yeah, I think he's in the whole show. He's like the guy's buddy.
Yeah, he is. Yep.
Yeah,
he's like his right hand man. It's him and Fiona is the girl's name.
It's
been a while since I watched it, but I used to love that show.
Yeah.
And I definitely started watching it because I knew Bruce Campbell was on it. Like,
oh yeah, they probably knew. They were probably like expecting the Bruce Campbell bump on that show.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. Like, you're probably right. Like, he is a guy who's never been a leading man. He's never been like big, but I totally believe that when that show was up, they're like, oh hell yeah, we got Bruce Campbell on our show. Awesome. That's like a good get.
A bunch of internet weirdos are gonna love this.
Yeah. He's I mean, I feel like probably today it's people either know him from Burn Notice or, I mean, The Evil Dead. But
yeah,
it's like The Evil Dead is like a very like iconic film series, like horror film series, but it's still not like, I wouldn't call that his big break, right? It's kind of weird.
Right.
It's a weird sort of middle ground.
Maybe Army of Darkness. Movies. I think because like of the Evil Dead trilogy, I would say that Army of Darkness is like the one that everybody knows and references.
Yeah.
Even though we all know that Evil Dead 2 is the best one.
Yeah. Obviously.
I haven't seen any of them.
Well, maybe come Halloween we should.
I've been doing a trilogy.
Yeah,
that
would be a fun trilogy to do.
Okay,
I think that would be really fun.
And then we can do a dud of My Name is Bruce.
Yeah, I put that in. I haven't watched it yet, but I put that in. I'm planning on watching it soon, even though I'm pretty sure it's not great.
I have not. I don't think I've seen it since we saw it, in 2008 at the screening with Bruce Campbell himself.
What? You don't like Bruce? You walk. Hey, take it easy, man. Besides, kind of like Bubba Ho-Tep. Everyone like Bubba Ho-Tep.
I feel like we should say for Moose in the audience, these guys are like Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Rob Tapert, who, I mean, Bruce Campbell's the only one of those guys that's involved with Bubba Ho-Tep, but they all came up together making movies together. They're kind of like, I don't know, maybe like my I don't know, they're like one of the main influences for me in terms of like wanting to be a filmmaker. It's not like I saw one of their movies and that was the first time when I was like, I want to make movies. I kind of had been wanting to do that since I could hold a camera more or less, and I had been. But I feel like watching their old stuff, they're even more independent than this. Super low budget, super scrappy productions is like, it's really inspiring. So, while some of the movies that of their ilk don't hold up as well, some of them do, of course. We did a Crime Wave. I would put that in there, and goddamn, I fucking love Crime Wave. But it's always like a, I don't know. It's like it really takes me back to being in high school and like being like, I want to go out into the woods and like shoot a movie. So I was kind of like, even though I'm like, yeah, not as hot on this movie as I probably was back then. I still kind of get like a I don't know. It's like drinking a hot cup of cocoa or something. That nice warm fuzzy feeling, something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that's pretty much how I feel whenever I, especially like see Bruce in a movie. Like even watching Crime Wave like a year ago, I was instantly transported back to like when we watched that movie like incessantly, like every weekend. I remember it was on like your TiVo for like months.
Yeah.
And every time I would come over, we'd watch Crime Wave.
Yeah, I held on to that DVR for dear life because there was like no other way to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know how we're feeling conversation wise. If we want to roll into scores, I'm pretty much there. Are you? How about you? You got any other stray thoughts, Moose? Because you're because TJ and I have known each other for a long time, and we have this like sort of shared experience, and you are younger and also not a part of that. So sometimes your perspective is like refreshing, just to hear someone else who's just like, what is wrong with you guys? This is dumb. Why do you like this shit so much?
This movie, I did one act play in high school.
Okay.
The competition, and
yeah, I think you mentioned
this movie reminds me of some of those plays. Just like what?
Okay.
is
the Elvis like monologue stuff for sure. I feel like would play very well in like like a very shot, like this seems like a black box theater style.
Yeah.
Damn, you're right. That I did one of those at KCC, like a student run play, and
that's cool.
Kind of, but it was kind of like this. It was kind of like this, where like cast me as like I wasn't like the main character, but this sounds like I'm the main character, but like I had like the most lines because I was the guy who had all these like monologues that I just delivered to the audience. And it was just like pages and pages of monologues, and I remember just being like, what the fuck even is this? This is nothing. But it was fine. It was a fun time, I guess.
Maybe we can dig up some like a script from one of these one act plays that we did in high school.
Oh, one of the ones you did. Yeah.
And then like reread it.
I have that. The one that I did is like I have like memories of every play I've done except that one. Like
really,
there's just like a blank slate almost.
That's hilarious.
Was it like one of those situations where you learned all of your lines, performed them, and like never thought about it ever again afterward?
Yeah, because I didn't connect with the story or the characters or anything. It was very bland and like, yep, this was written by a student. Yep.
For some reason I thought it was like.
Oh yeah,
it's like the students. It was a student production, but it was like an established. So you had to read.
Oh yeah.
You had to read like
stuff written by a classmate, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh man.
And they needed somebody to play this part because I was like, I live an hour away. I'm not going to be able to make it to practice every day because they wanted to practice Monday through Friday, and I'm like, I got class, and I'm not driving an hour. Or 2 hours both ways, like every day for this. So I went on the days that I had school on campus, which was like 2 days a week. But I did it. I didn't. I didn't miss any lines as far as I remember. I usually remember when I forget my lines because it's only happened a couple times. I'm pretty sure I nailed that one.
Oh, it's a trope in movies now, but I'm just picturing you delivering the lines and the kid who wrote it just like slightly off stage in the background, just like
mouthing along,
just like
like
but it's just like terrible dog shit writing.
Yeah, like Ed Wood, exactly.
Yeah. But he's just like, you know, it's his masterpiece.
Yeah, and I go off stage and I'm just like, oh, okay. And he's like crying and he's like, thank you. I'm like,
he hands you flowers.
Yeah. I did have to do a stage kiss, and that was awkward as hell. I didn't actually kiss. I did everything like butt because I felt awkward about doing it, especially for like that. It's like, you know, if I'm gonna show my dick, I'm not gonna do it for that. I'll do it for, you know,
hair.
Midsummer Night's Dream that the school's putting on. I'll show my dick to all the students.
Jeez.
And clipping that.
Is that part of that movie or part of that play?
No, I mean not necessarily, but there's a lot of like forest nymphs dancing around, and you know, if somebody wanted to, they could make
a real
nudist
perv about it. Yeah,
they could make a nudist Midsummer Night's Dream, and it would be logical, you know.
A Midsummer Night's Cream.
Yeah.
Nice.
I saw Hair at WMU, and they actually had like they had a scene where like people burned their draft cards because Hair is in like this late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. But like there's a scene where all the students like, and then they burn their bras, and like everybody, like the students all get like full frontal nudie on stage. And they had like I don't know if they're like volunteers or what, but basically at one point in time, and I knew this is how I knew it was coming. A bunch of like, yeah, I know, right? Like chaperones, I'll call them, like kind of entered the theater and like stood in the aisles. And it was basically to ensure that nobody in the theater like tried to like snap a pic or whatever.
I thought you were saying like bum rush the stage or something. But.
Oh God, yeah.
Say, like,
they're not mad about the nudity. They're mad about the draft cards being burned. They're like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was wild.
Yeah. I mean, that's a way to get college kids to go to your play, you know.
Yeah. I guess.
People are hanging dong too. Oh no.
Sorry, did you have something else you were gonna say, Moose?
Yeah, I was bored by this movie. I laughed sometimes, like especially in the second half when there was more like physical comedy going on, like with the wheelchair and everything going on, and like the hieroglyphics on the bathroom stall that translate to like I fucked Cleopatra's mom or something.
Yeah.
That's
the hieroglyphics
moments in this movie.
That's where like he says something about a donkey, which I think that's how you know he's like sucking their souls out through their ass.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
God. Yeah, this movie was what did we call it earlier? A crass
I don't even
Gothic. It was like Gothic, Southern Gothic with crass. You put it more delicately, but
yeah, I don't even remember how I put it.
Horror.
Yeah,
thing.
Something along those lines.
I was horrifyingly bored.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, you want to kick us off then, unless we got anything else?
Yeah. I remembered I had one more a little what if thingy, a little thing.
Okay.
Before we move on. It was just if you like, you know, fell into a coma when you were, you know, 80 years old, and then you woke up in a nursing home, what celebrity do you think you would self-identify as, or mistaken identify as?
I have two, and they're layups, so I'll let Moose go.
Oh God, a celebrity that I think I might be. or that I kind of look like, I guess.
I don't know. I didn't know if I wanted to say like who you look like, or like you could go personality, or just who do you think it'd be?
Oh yeah.
You know.
For me, it would be either Andy Kaufman or John Belushi.
Interesting.
Those are the two.
Not the. Those are the layups.
Those are the two that I get the most.
Really?
And maybe it's because I'm freshly shaved with a mustache that it's like you can't see it. But there are some pictures, like there's a couple pictures of like Andy Kaufman and John Belushi that if you looked at them and then looked at me, I could pass as I'm gonna find it on Facebook. But
I'm picturing at least John Belushi like making a face that you make. not so much Andy Kaufman. I have to see it. Yeah. Me, I was thinking Hannah Gadsby.
Okay, all right. That's topical. Hannah Gadsby's in the news right now.
Oh, is she really?
Yeah, over the Picasso is problematic art exhibit that she has going on, but it's funded by the Sacklers, who are like billionaires.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I didn't know.
No, I know
she was in the news now. I was just thinking like if I had brain damage and I was, and I woke up in a nursing home. It's me with brain damage, sure.
Yeah, the exact same scenes from Bubba Ho-Tep, but you're like, they don't know. I wrote Nanette.
Yeah. Try to find ways to confront Bubba Ho-Tep about how problematic his hieroglyphics are. Did you find anyone, Moose?
Taylor Swift is my answer.
Okay.
Hell yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd be like,
this is just another one of your
where's
eras.
my guitar? There's all these teardrops on my guitar, and I would, get into messy relationships and then sing songs about them.
Nice. All right.
To the other old people at the nursing home. I'd start a bunch of drama.
My other one would be Ossie Davis. That was my backup.
Oh, very nice. Very good.
Nice.
Another victim of Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah.
Man, where is this picture? I have one really good.
We'll put it up here.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah,
the picture
yeah.
that he found. Okay. I want to go start us off.
Sure. I didn't have much to say about this movie because this movie didn't have much to say to me, I think. I didn't particularly enjoy myself. I especially hated the part with the beetle that
That's one big a cockroach.
Everybody called it a cockroach. Like every single
that's
character
right.
encountered it. Called it a large cockroach.
I did like that he compared it to he said it was as big as a peanut butter sandwich. I like the
That is like an Elvis appropriate comparison.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was a silly movie about a guy who thinks he's Elvis, who fights a mummy for some reason, and it has these themes about being old and being like forgotten or cast aside, or like discredited, or not discredited, but not believed,
Sure.
And I think I don't know, maybe I'm just not like old and I don't resonate with those themes. maybe I just don't have the maturity to sort of like enjoy this movie. But to enjoy this movie. Yeah. The maturity. But yeah, 5 out of 10.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was a movie, but I didn't particularly like it or dislike it, and it did some things well, so it's getting a 5.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at a 7. I think this is a movie about Elvis. Who not a guy who thinks he is, but a guy who is Elvis. Yeah, this is the perfect movie for me in high school. I think high school me would have been like, this is incredible. This is the greatest movie I've ever seen. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. You know, a few years wiser, a few years older. You know, it's still entertaining. I'm always gonna love Bruce in a role. I haven't seen a Bruce role that I haven't liked. I think the first half, I really liked the Elvis monologuing and like kind of the flashbacks. I thought those were fun. And the Ossie Davis bits as JFK were really, really funny. The last half, I don't know. I feel weird. I was bored during the last half as opposed to the first half. But I think maybe as the oldest person on this podcast, maybe I did resonate with like those themes of being cast aside by your shitty kids, who throw away your Purple Hearts and your war memorabilia. Seeing this movie as a drama, I don't know about that, but I do think there are some things you can think about, regarding those specific themes. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a fun kind of monster movie with some pretty crass humor, and maybe it works better as a short story than a movie. But I mean, I gotta love my cult film guys, so it's a 7 for me.
Nice. I'm right in between you guys. I went with a 6. It's honestly like a light 6. I'm giving it the bump because of like the my love for the indie heart and soul that I see coming through this, my nostalgia and stuff, and Bruce Campbell. It has its moments, but ultimately I think it I feel like it squanders a lot of the opportunity again by setting like 30 minutes of it with him just in his bed talking about his dick. But then it's like, it's kind of funny like when he like gets a boner and it's like such a focal point for like a whole scene like that's kind of funny. It's like it's a nice little charming thing. I almost felt like with how like Moose giving it, I'm like, maybe I should just give it that, but I don't know. I put down 6 before, so I'll stick with it. But
okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a little bit of a bummer that it didn't hold up as well for me, but also that's kind of what I was expecting. I feel like even back in the day, this one didn't kind of grab me as much as some of the other ones. So I don't know. When I logged this on Letterboxd, I saw that I already had a rating for it, and that was probably just when I was scrolling through and just giving random ratings to movies that I'd seen, and I gave it a 6 off of like me just guessing that was my take on it. So I always like being pleasantly surprised, especially when it is something like that I know I didn't watch it when I gave it that rating. That was just me guessing. I'm always like, hey, look at that. I know me. I know my brain.
Yeah. I know movies.
I do have something that I want to talk about. Now, though. Okay.
For we are now entering post chat.
We are now entering post chat.
Whoa!
I need to set a green screen up so I do like the warp speed stars and
to activate 3D glasses now.
Yeah. Oh no! I dropped my drink. Oh.
We're in post chat, and now the thing that I was going to talk about, I got really into that. The post chat bit was a movie. Oh, so I watched Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, did you?
And I wasn't necessarily going to because of like just your recommending it last week, but you also mentioned it in one of like our early episodes. You were like,
yeah, it's a movie that I've seen, so I'm not surprised.
you referenced it as like, it was like, oh, this whatever movie we were reviewing, you're like, this is a 7, so it's a movie that I like, but it's not something that I love that I'll just like throw on to watch. And then somebody was like, what is a movie that you love? And you said Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so he wasn't just messing with us last week. He does actually like this movie. And Moose, I gotta say, what the fuck, dude? Like, what the fuck? Movie? No, okay, so it was a good counterbalance to, or like opposite of The Nice Guys, where a good chunk of it I was kind of feeling how you felt about The Nice Guys, which is like, this is a movie, this is just it's a romantic comedy, and for the most part, yeah, it is, and it's like it's right there in the middle. I was like, yeah, okay, this is fine, this is fun. I like Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling's chemistry. They're really fun. I did like Ryan Gosling, but I mean, it doesn't change my opinion of, like, by any standards. It doesn't break like the top, like whatever n amount of performances of his that I do really enjoy outside of The Nice Guys. But the last, like, and this had been peppered in before. It wasn't a total like out of nowhere. But the last like 10-15 minutes, I was like, I was literally like, I was watching like through my fingers like I was watching a horror movie, because it was so fucking awkward. It was so it's so cringy.
How does it end? I don't care.
I'm sure you don't. So it's two things, kind of. They're kind of related, but so they're at Steve Carell's kid he's graduating from middle school, so they're doing the middle school graduation, and he's the class salutatorian, so he's doing a little speech, like a oh, what a year we've had type thing. Steve Carell just went through this whole thing. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's a little silly too. Like the whole thing is. I was like, do they do this for middle school?
I did not have that experience in middle school.
Yeah. But. So, and Steve Carell, he got left by his wife at the beginning of the movie, and then he went to like this relationship guru in Ryan Gosling to like, oh, I want to, I'm single, I'm middle-aged, I want to like learn how to like pick up women. I've been with my wife my whole life and stuff. And then, but now it's like, it's turned to where he's like, oh no, I do actually love my wife, so I need to now do the dramatic thing to like win her back. And the kid is like going on about how he's in love with the babysitter. Yeah. The kid is 13 and she's 17, and this is important later. This will be important in a few minutes.
Yeah.
This will be very important, very legally important.
Boy.
So he's going on to like, oh yeah, no, I'm in love with her, and she's like in the audience too. The babysitter's there. I don't think like she has a brother or sister who's graduating. They're there for that kid. And then Steve Carell just like, he like speaks up, he's like, stop, and he like goes down there, and in front of everybody he starts like doing this long thing about how he was like sleeping around and how he loves his wife, and it was rough. So I'm like, the context of it being during a middle school graduation was awful. It made me feel so bad. And then afterwards, that's like, of course that works, right? He's back with his wife. Everything's hunky-dory. And then the movie ends with the babysitter comes up to the little boy, and she hands him an envelope that have nude photos of her that she originally took for the kid's dad. But now she's giving them...
Steve Carell?
She had a crush on Steve Carell. There's a lot of like crossing of like people liking other people through the thing. But then she's like, she I guess moved on from him, and she's like, she hands those to him, and she's like, to tide you over for a few years. And then the movie ends with the kid giving like an approving look at Steve Carell, and then like that's it. And yeah, and is it? You're laughing and stuff, but is this a movie that you like because it's so cringy, or do you like?
No. I first watched this movie when I was in high school, and I identified with the 13-year-old kid character.
Okay.
In that movie, and one thing that I really liked about the movie is all the character relationships and how complicated it gets. And it's like they're setting up this like tower of cards with like how delicately everything is.
I will say the scene where it all comes together in the backyard.
Yes,
it's pretty good.
Exactly.
It's really good.
That's a good scene.
Yeah, it's a really good scene. Yeah.
It just the whole thing collapses, and then suddenly David Lindhagen is there, and then you're just like, oh my god. Yeah. And it just keeps going. And I think that when I think of that movie, I think of that scene. And when I watch the movie, I'm like pretty much waiting for that scene and the payoff.
Yeah.
And then I just watch the rest of the movie.
Okay.
So those are the two reasons why I really like that movie, is because of the relationships that then came together in that backyard scene, and then also because I was a little kid who had a crush on a girl named Jessica. You know, I saw it. I was Robbie. I was that little boy.
You know, I could see watching it as a kid also being like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get some nudes from a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm thinking of this as like an adult. I was like, okay, this was written by an adult though, so it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's valid point. Valid criticism.
And I think what made that even worse for me is like he's so like on her shit about it, like to a very like creepy like stalker way. And there's even a scene where he's like texting her and she texts him back, Robbie, please stop, I feel uncomfortable, you're making me uncomfortable. And then he like has this talk with his dad later about because like his dad doesn't know that he has a crush on the babysitter. He's just like, oh, I really like this girl. And so Steve Carell's like, oh yeah, you need to go after her, follow your heart type deal. And then he's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do that, Dad, and I'm gonna keep going after her, no matter if she tells me that I'm making her uncomfortable. I'm gonna keep going after her.
Yeah,
it's
not good. It's pretty terrible. It's
hell yeah, Dad, I'm gonna beat off to these later. Yeah, you will, son.
I said I love this movie.
I think so.
Yeah, I guess I stand by that.
And then I think last week you referenced it as being the best Ryan Gosling performance, or maybe you were just saying it was better than The Nice Guys.
No, I was saying that it is another Ryan Gosling performance.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. It was funny watching this and being like, oh, this is like the Ryan Gosling archetype character, just like the player, like, and he is of course very smooth in this, but it's just like he's hardly even like playing a character. He's just like cool guy Ryan Gosling, like Sigma male.
Not hard for him to do.
Sigma male manosphere, like
hell yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
This was I think this was the first movie with Ryan Gosling that I watched.
Oh, okay.
When did it come out?
2011.
So he did like this movie and Drive in like the same year.
In the same year, 15. Yeah.
Because I think Drive was like my first Ryan Gosling movie, or at least the first one that like I remember. Like, he might have been in a movie that I saw, but I didn't like. I think at the time I knew him as the Notebook guy.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, whatever.
Guy. He was in Remember the Titans? He's a small role.
Was he?
He's on the football team. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I mean, technically that would be my first Ryan Gosling movie, but I didn't I wasn't like, oh shit, look, it's Ryan Gosling.
I think that first one for me was probably Lars and the Real Girl. That was the first one where I was like, oh yeah, he's pretty good. I like that. I like this guy. And that was like a couple years before that. I'm not sure when.
Yeah.
I was also surprised how many like GIF memes were from this movie. There's
Is the
one
Ryan
of,
Gosling like laughing like that? Is that in this movie?
No, I think that's just from an interview. But there is the one where he does like this kind of snobby sort of like he looks someone up and down. And there's one with Steve Carell that I thought was from the Office, because he looks like Michael in this scene. He looks like he's dressed like him, and it's where he's like holding a glass of whiskey and he does this. He does the like the point and wink thing.
The point and wink thing.
Oh. Wait, hold on. I think I. Oh yeah. Yeah, I would have 100% thought that was from The Office. Interesting.
And then I think there's even like another one with like Emma Stone. I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize that too. And yeah, interesting.
The Ryan. Well, he's got the sunglasses and he's like.
Yeah, it was a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have like crazy stupid reviews. But it's got like decent reviews, and I'm like, after watching, I'm like, I don't think I've ever, and this is just in my own headcanon, but like, I don't think I've seen a movie propelled so much by having just a hot guy in it, because I feel like that, like, just scrolling through the reviews on like Letterboxd, at least, it's just like everybody's like, Ryan Gosling is so hot, and I'm like, you're not wrong, but that doesn't make the movie. But like him and Steve Carell were like the best part of it. So, yeah.
Not Robbie, the 8th grade boy.
I fucking hated
that wasn't
that
a
kid.
highlight for you.
I hated that kid.
Yeah, I have grown as a person since I identified with him.
And I have grown as a person since I thought Bubba Ho-Tep was maybe slightly better than I do now.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we both have our movies.
You guys
like
have both you've both grown a significant amount in the last hour and 11 minutes or so.
Yeah. I too, when I watched Bubba Ho-Tep as a young man, I identified with Elvis in that specific scene where he's staring at that girl's ass as she bends over. That was the real hard-hitting drama for me.
Yeah, that a bunch of Letterboxd reviews are like, I wonder if Baz Luhrmann is gonna cover this in the Elvis biopic. The only thing I might have for post-chat, and I don't know if this will go anywhere, but speaking of cringy things to watch, I am almost done with the first season of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
you never watched it before?
I've seen like a handful of episodes, but I've never actually like watched it concurrently. And it's insane to me that he can keep up the momentum of like making episodes of TV like this, where it's I mean, it's really like the same sort of format in every episode, where it's like Larry has a minor interaction with something, which causes Larry to go to a second location, and then something else causes him to go to a third location, but the minor interaction that he had in the first location sets off like a series of events that bite him in the ass in the third. Like, it's the structure of every episode is so goddamn uncomfortable. and I really like the way that my brother describes it, where he's like, in a lot of instances, technically Larry is right a lot of the times, but it's the way that he presents himself and his arguments that just makes you so frustrated with him.
I think that's why the comedy in the show is so effective, because of that, because it does. Larry's the protagonist, but also it does. Like I said, the situations are like he is technically usually in the right, but he's such a fucking asshole about it.
Yeah.
There was one of the episodes that I watched. And I've never heard of this. I don't really think this is a thing anymore. But he was at a dinner, and there were two sections for the tip, for the server and like the captain, which I think would basically be like the host, who like says, all right, yeah, we have a table right over here for you.
Yeah.
And so Larry's like, what, I have to tip both? How about I tip the server 30%, and then the server can give the captain 10% if he wants to? Because he's like, what, I have to tip both of them? And it's like, it is kind of a ridiculous scenario, and it's like one of those things where it's like, he's just pointing you to a table. He's not bringing you food. He's not bringing you any drinks. He's not really doing anything. So what, he deserves a tip? Like, and it's like, yeah, I kind of, and of course, he forgets his credit card at the restaurant. And so he comes back the next morning and he just parks in like an employee space. And who parks him in but the captain, who's like, yeah, I remember you sat at this table, huh? And then Larry's like, oh, the waiter didn't give you a tip? And he's like, nope. It's just, but it's kind of funny because like we just also finished the 3rd season of I Think You Should Leave, and I think both of those shows are so good at finding weird little social faux pas and social interactions and just blowing them up to like a massive scale. And I think that's what makes Curb for me work so well, is just all of those like little intricacies of like dealing with people and talking to people, that you say one thing wrong or make one wrong joke and it just snowballs and explodes in your face.
Interesting that you mentioned.
Hold up.
Yeah, hold up here. Yeah.
Okay. Nope.
Okay.
Okay. No.
It keeps coming back.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like it's good now. Yeah.
That's crazy. Interesting that you mentioned I Think You Should Leave, because when I was a kid, I fell into a river and a fish bumped me out of the water.
Okay, so he's watched it.
Yeah, I watched it. I thought I was watching the 1st season, but it ended up being the 3rd season.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Did you just watch the 3rd season?
Yeah, I've only seen the 3rd season.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's not like there's any continuity you're missing or anything, so it doesn't really matter. That's good. That's good. You like it. I will say I do think that I like the 3rd season, of course, but there weren't any like great skits, I didn't think. And I think like what Nick is talking about is definitely the most prevalent in the 1st season, and then the 2nd season too.
But I mean, literally the opening, the 1st episode, it's like Tim he's like a job interview. Yeah. And he goes to leave, and he goes to like grab the door, and it's obviously like push, not pull. Or I don't know which
it's push, not pull is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah, and so he starts like pulling on the door, and it's like very drawn out, like slow and like scraping and screeching.
Yeah,
and he keeps turning back. Yeah.
Sorry, no, you finish.
He keeps turning back to like the guy that he just had the interview. It's like no, it's supposed to pull out. It's supposed to pull out, and it's just like
the guy says I think that's a push one, and then he says no, it goes both ways. And then and it's just that little thing, and then he commits the entire way.
Yeah.
And you can see like the like vessels in his like forehead start like straining, and incredibly like I already like have some of the lines like from the 3rd season like rattling around in my head like I do with all the other seasons, but. Yeah.
55 burgers, 55 tots, 55 milkshakes.
I like
my favorite part of that whole sketch is that like the drive-through screen is keeping up with him as he's saying all of the things.
I like when the guy comes back to his car and he's going, ah, beep beep beep. All right, what the hell's going on up there? I think the skit that made me laugh the hardest in the 3rd season was the dog ears hair skit, where he's on the like blind date with the girl, and
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like telling him stories, and he overhears these guys like at the bar being like, "Oh yeah, it's right over there with the guy that has the hair that looks like dog ears," and then they're like, "Oh, I thought that was a dog," and then it's like in like the flashback where it shows him like going to the barber to get, or there's like this long scene where he's talking to his friends, and it's like this really like uplifting, like, "Oh man, you really need to put yourself out there." And then he's like,
"Hey man,
no, I'm really
she rang
nervous."
the bell too.
Yeah. It's all like really supportive.
It's like it's very
and stuff.
rom-com, you know.
Yeah. And then he's like, "I want a haircut like just like this." And the guy looks at the big picture of the dog.
Yeah. I've seen some pretty choice, because the thing with I Think You Should Leave is that it's very memeable. It's like very good for like
incredibly. Yeah.
Like I mean, the hot dog guy from season 1 I see all the time. But I've really been seeing a lot of memes of the driving crooner.
The driving crooner, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
When he just starts doing that and you don't know what it is.
I'm like, what?
The context.
And then someone did that with like Breaking Bad when Walt is stealing Holly. In like Ozymandias, they put the driving crooner shit, and it's like we gotta go. She doesn't think it's real, something like that.
Trying to make it look fake.
I like the doggy door one too, where it's just like it's like because I saw that thing.
It's like, now look, I know it was just a pig in a Richard Nixon mask, but for 50 seconds I thought that thing was real and living here with us on Earth. Something like that.
Yeah, and he says like, my life has become nothing. I actually wrote it down. My life is nothing I thought it would be, and everything I worried it would become. Because for 50 seconds I thought there was monsters on the world.
That's the line I was trying to think of. Yeah.
But then I thought, if this thing kills me, I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
It's like, and what is that? That's my thinking, is that if I die, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, you should definitely go back and watch like the first 2 seasons then, because there are some like all-timers.
Yeah. I'm really excited to hear your take on some in particular.
It's super bingeable too. Like it's like they're like 16, 17 minutes long.
Yeah, super short. And then like the next episode, that's how I watched like the first 2 seasons. This one was a little more broken up, but like the first one, I think I was just on. It was like just after midnight, and it was the day that it came out, and I was like, "Oh!" It was purely just like, I'm just gonna check this out on a whim. I'd never heard of this before, and I watched the entire thing, like from 1 a.m.
Because
you're
probably
like 3
like,
a.m.
what on earth is this?
Yeah, because the episodes start and it's just you're in another scene, so it's very like you keep the momentum going. There's like no breaks. Good show.
Yeah, that was pretty much my experience with watching season 3.
Tight, cool. Let's go.
I was struck that like the joke most of the time was like a white guy does something incredibly inappropriate in front of other people, you know, and like at first I was like, okay, this is what I'm watching now, is just this guy just being completely inappropriate, and it's always Tim Robinson who's doing it, and then but then I just kind of like suspended my judgment. I was like, don't think about it too hard. You're not supposed to think about it.
Yeah.
Just have fun. And then I started having fun, and I finished the whole thing.
I mean, I will say I like the ones where Tim plays like the straight man.
Yeah,
where like he is reacting to something, like the last one with Conor O'Malley.
Yeah.
Who's like he's working on the campaign, and he like, I gotta come up with videos. I gotta come up with videos every Friday.
Yeah.
I sped the video up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's just Conor O'Malley. That's just him doing his own shit. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the show's called With Tim Robinson, so it is kind of expected that he's going to be the guy in most of it. But he's also, like, he is just really good at just like he can like change on like a dime, like his delivery and like shit, and I don't know. He knows how to make it a funny faces and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say like his facial acting too. It's like it's almost like Jim Carrey, where it's like when he transforms into like one of his wild and zany characters versus when he's just like playing a normal office guy. It's like he's so good at like changing his demeanor and like tone of voice.
Yeah.
You know, Tim Robinson looks a lot like my cousin Keith. It's really creepy.
Oh, weird
to see them. So like when I'm like imagining my cousin Keith shouting at me about the driving, you know, and I'm just like, this is so off-putting, and it just kind of adds to the experience, I think.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, if my cousin Keith were to wake up from a coma thinking he was a celebrity, it would be
Tim Robinson.
Okay, but now,
yes,
got another movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Another regular movie, and I see a slip right there. Just gonna pull one out, and all right, we are going to watch from 1949.
Oh.
Directed by Carol Reed, The Third Man. So we got another Orson Welles on our hand.
Shit,
Not directed by, but he's like one of the main characters or the main character.
Nice.
I don't really know.
I wanted to see that one. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. That'll be a good change up. At least if it's like another boring whatever movie. It's like an old one, so it'll be different, you know. It looks like it's on. Well, it's for rent on a few things: Apple TV, Redbox, Vudu, and it says it's free on Crackle.
I've heard of Crackle.
I've heard of it. I don't think I have.
Yeah.
I don't know, so I'll have to.
Hangs out with Snap and Pop.
So yeah, watch it at one of those if you don't want to be spoiled for The Third Man. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube and Twitch in video form, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I am the bump at the end of your penis. TJ, aka J Spot Jack Cheese, and with me as always.
As always, it's been 2 presidential elections since I've had a boner like that. Nick, aka Dr. Funk on Twitch, and with me as always.
As always, I'm your mummy wearing cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Tommy, aka Moose.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Yes.
Yes.